If you don't even look my best day at all.
If you do not stop again to harass me or to harass me again now, I'm not going to give you to bed. That business that I beg for.
Okay, business?
Yes. That one change $20.
Okay, you want to change them into naira?
$200,000.
200,000. Maybe we go discuss business on eh?
So, if you want business, stop to the border me. Yes.
If you even right now, don't stop to the bordering. Wallahi. Now business I want.
Alaji Naso, Alaji don't see business, you don't forget about love.
Now you uncle. Money answer it all.
Everybody know your own money.
They will put everything together.
They will put everything together.
Yes.
And who are these
ladies and social allies.
Elite FA. You're a graduate. Elite, please.
Uncle Chair, I know, but that's what they call themselves. Lady social allies.
See my calculation. You have taken material worth 250,000 naira. You haven't brought me a dime. And you sit down here and ask me to give you goods worth 500,000 naira. So the base
no, now, Auntie Segi, it's not like that. It's just that this might be my break, you know. And I want to start. I want to keep good relationship with this club. And again, Auntie Segi, I am tired of that secretary job at the bank. I want to start making good money, like be traveling like you.
I am tired of the secretary job at the bank. I want to start. So is this how you're going to run your own business? By selling everything you have on credit, Abi?
No, Auntie Segi.
Sell them to pay for the 6 they collected first.
Look, we go discuss now. We need you and I go discuss in private.
Alaji Bala, let's talk about my commission first.
Oh, commission?
Yes.
Talk. How much you talk since I want change?
I've said it before. $200,000.
200. I'm not going to go discuss outside now.
Okay, I'm gone. Yeah.
I hear you, Chidi. I hear that one. And na true talk you talk. Because na trouble I take come find you today, Chidi.
Hold on. Now you be that. Where my money for yesterday?
I beg, I come. I go come see you. I beg. I get one very serious matter I want to say to you here today.
Where have your manners gone, all of you? Even you, Udo, you would not greet first.
Oh God, I'm sorry. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. Chidi, you still believe saying that you win that betting?
Which betting be that?
Which other betting be that one? Our Manchester versus Real Madrid match, of course. Yes. You still believe say now you win now? You believe say that one a penalty? Oh chess, woman leader. You are right, it don't take. But you see, that ball is supposed to be penalty. And me and Chidi will bet with our food. Chidi carry my food, he join the old job and talk saying I win that betting.
Look, Chidi, why don't you just buy Udo another lunch?
Oh no!
He takes this thing quite seriously, you know.
Oh no, sir. No, not at all. You see, not the food matter self. I just don't like. I just hate cheating. Yes, I hate cheating. This one na true talk matter. That is all. Talk the truth and let the devil be ashamed.
How I take it though? What man? Referee blow penalty. Little man, the lady. I was shot. It was a goal. Now, how I take it?
That ball no be penalty, cheating. No be penalty. For inside your mind, inside your mind, you said you believe that was to be penalty.
Of course. In fact, I don't take Bible swear when you say it swear.
And I don't say make you not take Bible swear because me, I don't believe in Bible swearing.
What is you want again? Not gonna see me say trouble.
Chidi, I don't say make we take our local courts, make we take our swear. But yes, Ogun, Shanko, don't touch me. Amadioha, Ogogo, Abedubele, Areba Minyo, Ebe Upa, Ebonto, Ayela, and Ago. Anyone you like, let us use it to swear. Anyone at all.
I cannot do that one.
You see?
I'm a Christian.
You see? That now where the lie they be that. Now the wayo, when the wayo they like be that so.
Wayo? Udo, I don't understand you.
Woman leader. Now the wayo be that. Don't touch me, don't touch me. People they will be say every time they are so like and they lie, they use Bible, they swear. If everybody is lying all the time with the Bible.
You know what? Udo,
Yes.
now I get your point. You mean Chidi is avoiding to swear in the name of the God?
Oh yes! You are there. Oh God, thank you. In the way instant justice.
It is a lie. I cannot swear with that thing. See, I'm a very good born again Christian.
Born again. It's alright. Born again. I'm coming. I dey come.
Chidi.
Oh.
Chidi, are you sure that match is all Udo is angry about?
I don't know again.
I think it's nothing.
It's alright. Not here at all. Make anybody, nobody, make nobody wrong. You see? Only lying man, wrong face. That is all. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't touch me. The truth must be said today. Chidi must talk the truth. Oh yeah, Chidi. Talk now before April. Say that boy that is supposed to be penalty. Talk now. Say inside your mind. Now you win that bet in that day. Huh? April no select. Chidi talk now. You believe say that was supposed to be penalty? I mean not supposed to be penalty. Chidi talk. Chidi talk now. Talk now. Yes. Sorry. No worry. No go do anything. Don't be afraid. I just want Chidi to tell the truth today. Chidi, tell the truth. Tell the truth. You still believe say now you win that bet in that game? You still believe? Have you believe say the ball no be penalty? Make I take no now because if you say no be true, my food when you chop that day go turn your belle.
No, why they cost me?
I know they cost you. I'm not costing you. All I'm just asking is for you to tell the truth. That is all. Say the truth, Chidi. I know you hear you.
I don't believe say na penalty. In fact, what I go buy your food back? I beg.
No, Chidi, no. Not be food matter at all. I just said cheating. I hate cheating. Now when you don't talk the truth, that is all. That is all. Epe. It is alright now. Okay. Epe. It's alright. You don't confess. Make we go. You don't confess.
Chidi, come dey go. Stand up, come dey go. Thank you. Come dey go. Pack plate. Pack plate, oh. See yourself, I don't close. Oga Tini, everybody, I don't close. Madam Dubai, bye-bye, yo, I don't close. Chibi. No look for my trouble. I want to see your back now. You go. Come out, my son. Come out.
Ọlọ́run. Mẹ́nà pa.
Iyamodina, me I no like this kind of thing wey dey do. See no dey insult my friends, I no just like am na hunger. We are hunger, na him carry me come chop.
If you wan chop, come alone.
Ebi kami o,
na food I come chop o. Come to jare.
Okay, what do you want eat?
Abeg, give me my normal one. Give me 2 amala.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk. App for iOS or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
Whether it is a study, a vacation, or a job offer, going somewhere new and foreign is so exciting as a first-timer. It can be overwhelming and confusing, but it must be done right and legally. Get your passport. This is what validates your citizenship of a said country. It comes in 32 and 64 pages. Requirements for a passport include a local government letter of identification, birth certificate or age declaration, a guarantor's form sworn to before a magistrate, parents' letter of consent for minors under 16 years, and marriage certificate where applicable. Apply for a visa. A visa is a documented permit to enter a country legally. It could be for study, visit, medical, tourism, and even job offers. Depending on your destination and purpose, you can be called for an interview at the embassy within 2 weeks. You should know that requirements vary from country to country. Depending on your destination, some visa applications will require your bank statements or even medicals. Note that this interview might not guarantee approval, especially when certain conditions are not met. You should know that visa fees are non-refundable. Certain routine health checks, tests, and vaccinations are necessary. Some countries require your yellow card, which is a certificate of vaccination showing that a traveler has been immunized against yellow fever. For many countries, a COVID-19 vaccination evidence or a PCR negative test is required. Travel tickets. To have a better planned and convenient trip for first-time travelers, it is advised to have a travel agent help with your booking and other logistics. It is important to go online to check for prohibited travel items, depending on the country you are traveling to. Also, ensure you get basic knowledge about the city like weather, currency conversion, language, transportation, and so on. These are just the basic information you should arm yourself with if you plan to make that trip abroad. Also, ensure you understand and adhere to the country's rules and regulations to avoid stories that touch.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the YouReport link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
This is the network service of the NTA.
The goals of literature include to help people appreciate their culture and that of others, to develop the reader's creative ability, and to enhance critical thinking, leading to adequate judgment, among others. Literary education, therefore, is an instrument for curbing violence in our society, as it has cognitive and effective training for the learner. This is African Literature on the NTA, Africa's largest television network. And I am Nin Nabasi. Stay with us. Violence with the injuries produced and the lingering consequences affects everyone. Our focus today will be on the aftermath of all forms of violence.
Armed conflict in its various forms and manifestations remains pervasive around the world. The continent of Africa has been highly susceptible to intra- and interstate wars and conflicts. This has prompted the insinuation that Africa is the home of wars and instability. In sub-Saharan Africa, about a third of the countries in the region have been affected by conflict in recent years. As history has repeatedly shown, conflicts impose immeasurable human suffering and large economic and social cost. The loss of human life, destruction of infrastructure, human capital and institutions, political instability, and greater uncertainty associated with conflicts can impede investment and economic growth, not only during conflict but also afterward, making it difficult to escape the conflict trap. In addition, conflicts tend to complicate public finances, lowering revenue by destroying part of the tax base while raising military expenditures. Fiscal deficits and public debt rise. As a result, resources shift away from social and developmental spending, which further accentuates the conflict's debilitating consequences. Some of the key channels through which conflict impends economic growth are decreased investment, trade and productivity, along with human and physical capital destruction through forced displacement with devastating effects on education and health care. In Africa, neighboring countries are affected more severely than the host country. Analysis suggests that conflicts leads to a drop in real GDP per capita of 15 to 20% over 5 years, compared to a non-conflict scenario. The composition of spending tilts away from capital expenditures towards military spending. Consequently, the fiscal balance deteriorates and there is a sharp increase in public debt over the conflict period. This should not be allowed to continue if Africa is to witness sporadic growth and development and compete favorably with other continents of the world. All hands must therefore be on deck to halt this negative development and chart a new course for peace in Africa.
What is left after war is silence. The silence of death, the silence of debris, the silence of birds. Even the screams of sadness is silent.
One of the role of literature is education. It exposes the society through various literary pieces. These literary pieces embody varied valuable exposés which contribute to the emotional, social and moral inferences of individuals. The Casualties, the poem by John Pepper Clark, warns against violence. The poet used his tone, subject matter and several literary instruments to conscientize and drive the need for peace, thereby highlighting the significance of literature to the society.
Within the context of the realities of our time, casualties and the incidents going on in our country and understanding the relevance of literature and the position of the poet in trying to not only be futuristic, but not only coordinate, guide, not only coordinate and guide, but also position society in the right direction. And that is what this poem is all about. And that's the perspective that I actually want to take as far as we're dealing with this poem. Not the other many intricate issues that it can generate or it has already generated and it might possibly generate in the future. But for now, we're dealing with the relevance of literature in the moment, momentary relevance of literature and poetry as this work stands. Who are the casualties and the issues that we're dealing with today? The young people have been the casualties in the ongoing war, if you wish, that has been ravaging our nation. And this has been a Cold War. And it's been ongoing for over upward of 60 years. I mean, beginning from the defining moments of our histories. And these people are saying, no, we don't want these things to keep on going. We don't want these things to happen. And we are creating more casualties instead of listening, instead of paying more attentive attention to the agitations that are coming from genuine voices, innocent voices. And they're saying, you cannot keep on making us casualties or creating us as casualties of this system. And system is not just now, it's been ongoing. So it is to be narrowed, to limit it to the now in terms of leadership structure. Of course, the leadership structure is very, very complicit in the now, but it's been an ongoing thing. And so this is what this poet, just recently deceased, is trying to warn us. I mean, J.P. Clark lived this time in the first upheaval of our nation,
And this is his offering. And he lived through all the aftermath of it, with all the consequences that it brought, with all the consequences that came with it. And so he is now trying to say from the land of the beyond, please do not make more casualties of these young people, particularly, of these children, of these mothers, of these old people, including yourselves who are perpetrators of these evils.
The theme of reconciliation, tolerance, listening to one another, among others, are highlighted in the poem.
Reconciliation, why not? Reconciliation, tolerance, listening. Who do not hear? I mean, look at what we cannot hear ourselves. These young people are on the street trying to make you hear. Why don't you listen? Instead of you to listen, you're stoking more fire. I mean, do you understand? That is, we should listen to ourselves. Why shouldn't I speak to my father if things, in my house, I always spoke to my dad. I mean, it wasn't an easy thing with an African father. But yes, but I did. Yeah. It's important that children should be able to speak because it's their home. I once told my dad that, his house. I said, this is my father's house. And he didn't have anything to say because he knew it was the truth. Who else? Whose house is it? It's my father's house. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So I couldn't have gone elsewhere to say the same thing. So why wouldn't the children of the house speak?
J.P. Clark, generally recognized for his lyrical writing, wrote in direct and relevant language which accommodates the intended message.
In this particular poem, he wrote direct in very many ways. He called the things that he wanted, and those landmarks are very important. The title is well-defining, casualties. And then he says, the beginning, the casualties are not only XYZ. The casualties are not only XYZ. The casualties are not only XYZ. And then he made reference to the thing that he was talking about, war. If you are missing it, I'm talking about our war. I'm talking about the people who lost their lives. I'm talking about the people who were displaced. I'm talking about the people whose properties were stolen. I'm talking about the people who died. I'm talking about the people who coveted other people's properties, and they are sitting in anticipation, not knowing if the people who own those things are going to come back or not. I'm talking about the people who also are stocking on fire. I'm talking about the people who even started this whole thing. They may not have known that this is a dimension that it will go. So the language is very accommodating of all the things, or the message that he wanted to pass across.
Who is the casualties as described in the poem?
For our casualties, like the poem already defined, I said that earlier. For example, the young people are saying that we don't want to be casualties anymore. The older ones are casualties as well. Have you gone to my father worked with Nigerian Ports Authority. Yeah. Have you seen what happens to retirees in this country? Do you know what happens to them? They are casualties as well. People who've given their lives. They've done nothing wrong. The political leadership are casualties. They are even the worst casualties. Are you not ashamed if you're a political leader that in your country, a place where you run, you do not have all the things that you require for your life to be good? It's shameful. How can I run a place and then the place I want to send my children to school will be elsewhere? That's shameful. When I'm not feeling well, I will have to run elsewhere to get good medical care. You're a casualty. You're the worst casualty. You should live proud. How many of other leaders in the functioning societies come to your place or to where you are to live and be proud of that? So the point, we are all casualties, the people who are dying, the people who are directly suffering from the implication of all of this, direct implication of all of this, we are all casualties. The people who are suffering from the indirect implication of all of these, we're all casualties. And that's why it's important to understand the reasons behind the agitation of the young people, so we shouldn't go this way, that it is not the right path for us. That's the point.
Why is it important to look at the poem, The Casualties, now?
The first genocidal onslaught by us and against us is in Nigeria in 1966 and all of that, you know, going through the war period and things like that. And why do we want to let that happen? It is only possible because we have not regarded the voices of history, the voices coming from the poetic history that this work, Casualties, presents to us. And so it is important that leadership takes care and that these are genuine agitations coming from the young people. They're not supposed to treat it with levity and not supposed to treat it even with high-handedness. Young people are people that you can always bring to your side with the right actions, and you don't push them. And that is what this work is trying to warn us. Please do not go the path. It is a foolish person that treads a path that was very harmful to him or her twice.
J.P. Clark is one of Africa's most anthologized poets who dwelled on realities of life.
You look at Abiku, you look at Ibado, you look at, of course, the Casualties that we talked about, and some of his other he's one of the most anthologized poets. So the importance of this work and his other works can also be viewed from the perspective of the realism that he presents in society. Night Rain was a realistic situation that he was trying to paint. But you see, in that poem, the mother trying to save the house from, from the rain drops in the night that was trying to invade their bed, their sleeping mat and things like that. That's what parents should do in this country. That's what mothers should do. That's what fathers should do. You save the day. That's what all of us should do.
The Casualties, a de-escalation poem, is a message to the society to apply caution and a sensitization to the younger generation on the aftermath of violence.
I'm speaking to the de-escalation process because Casualties, as J.P. Clark presents, is a de-escalation poem, actually. So please, it is important that we understand that actually this is our society. Now, there's nothing wrong that the young people have done, not one. And the whole process from the beginning till the now, even as we speak, there's nothing wrong that has been done by these young people. We have done nothing wrong in this whole process. But of course, when there is a problem in a society and you're trying to solve it, and there's further problem, you do not go on top of that same problem that has been created or that has emerged, okay? You try to re-strategize, you understand? And I think that forward going, the strategy is more on reaching out to our other young folks and colleagues and people around the whole geography of our nation. And because from all indication, it is still the ignorant young people among us that are being used as tools, because it is ignorance. You don't blame them. If you understand the multiple layers of ignorance, working in many parts of our geography, you'll understand why it is easy for young people to be used for this.
John Pepper Clark is well out of the endless list of casualties, but he left a wise counsel for those behind. Never to start a fire you can't put out. Art's composition is up next.
Casualty by J.P. Clark is an example of a poem that teaches that violence should be avoided. This is because war or violence favors no one. The teaching of this poem is one of moral instruction, and this is needed to curb all forms of violence in our society today. Johnson Clark Becker-Derrimo, popularly called J.P. Clark or John Pepper Clark, is one of the foremost poets in Nigeria. Born 6th April 1935 and died 13th October 2020. Studied at Government College Ughelli, University of Ibadan, and Princeton University. He worked as an information officer in the Ministry of Information in the Old Western region of Nigeria, feature editor of the Daily Express, research fellow at the Institute of African Studies, University of Ibadan, served several years as a professor of English at University of Lagos, a position from which he retired in 1980. He held visiting professional appointments at several institutions of higher learning, including Yale and Wesleyan University in the United States. He and his wife founded the PEC Repertory Theatre in Lagos. J.P. Clark has received several honors and recognition, including Institute of African Studies Research Fellow, Parvin Fellow, Princeton University, Nigerian National Merit Award. His other works include Mbari, A Reed in the Tide, A Decade of Tongues, State of Union, Mandela and Other Poems, The Raft, Ozidi, The Boat, The Wives' Revolt, and many more. He is famous for his much eulogized poem, Ibadan. He drew on aesthetic and culture in his earliest poems as a form of protest against colonial hegemony. His poetry is regarded as one of the finest African pieces, often treats heterogeneous themes from his background and his travel experience in America and other places. Aside poetry, Clark was also reputed for great theatrical works, including Song of a Goat and The Masquerade.
Some information or ideas require emphasis before it is understood. Our next segment will handle that.
Anaphora is a Greek word which means carrying up or back, and as one of the world's oldest poetic techniques, anaphora is used in much of the world's religious and devotional poetry, including numerous biblical psalms. It is a rhetorical device that consists of repeating a sequence of words at the beginning of neighboring clauses, thereby lending them emphasis. Anaphora, therefore, deliberately repeats the first part of the sentence in order to achieve an artistic effect. For example, I want my money right now, right here. All right? Writers often repeat specially chosen words or phrases to emphasize a point or stress certain ideas for the reader and create rhythm that also serves the purpose of emphasis. Types of anaphora: nominal anaphora, pronominal anaphora, lexical noun phrase anaphora, and zero anaphora. Importance of anaphora: it is used for emphasis when a word or lines are repeated, draws the reader's attention to something that the author thinks important. As a literary device, anaphora serves the purpose of furnishing artistic effect to the passages of prose and poetry. Moreover, it lends rhythm to the lines that becomes a pleasure to read and is easily memorized. It is also important as a means of appealing to the emotions of the audience in order to persuade, inspire, motivate and encourage them.
Anaphora, indeed, makes the reading of literary works more pleasurable. We have to go now, knowing that we all are aware of the consequences of all forms of violence and that peace is the key. Take this wise saying and remain safe.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Nigeria is Africa's most populous nation, with cultural and media influence throughout the entire continent. But it's facing a conservation crisis. Wildlife and national parks are highly endangered by poaching and illegal logging. It's the epicenter of the illegal trade in ivory and pangolin scales, with tons of products representing thousands of animals seized in recent times by customs. It has strong demand for illegal bushmeat that endangers animals and risks introduction of zoonotic disease. But Nigeria could be a conservation leader. With Lagos leading the way, Nigeria is updating its wildlife legislation. It's improving its wildlife law enforcement, and it's revolutionizing its public awareness. WildAid and its Nigerian partners are launching the largest ever conservation awareness program in Africa to drastically increase coverage of wildlife issues. Working with government agencies, working with the media, working with prominent Nigerian ambassadors.
Report suspicious activity and wildlife crime.
To promote Nigeria's national parks. To promote wildlife law enforcement. To raise awareness of the dangers of illegal bushmeat. And to promote alternatives. Nigeria can go from crisis to becoming a leader in conservation.
So let's do the right thing.
Tell your families and friends to say no to illegal bushmeat.
Keep them wild.
Keep them wild.
Keep them wild. Keep us safe.
And keep us safe.
For anyone who values financial security and ultimately desires financial freedom, creating at least one additional stream is no longer a luxury. It has become a necessity. Diversifying your income stream is crucial to protect yourself and your family against the unavoidable ups and downs of economic and industry cycles. Because of the financial risk that come from relying on one source of income, such as a job or a business, consider creating at least one or more additional streams to generate cash flow. The benefits of having multiple streams of income include peace of mind because you know there will always be money to spend. Also, you will earn much more than you currently earn from your day's job. Therefore, you will live bigger and better. Your additional income streams can be active, passive, or a combination of the two. Some may pay you for doing something that you love, active, while others can provide income for you without having to do much of anything at all, passive. Here are multiple streams of income opportunities: selling information in hard book format, selling information in the form of downloadable ebooks, making money from referral opportunities, training classes, consulting opportunities, dealership opportunities, design opportunities, manufacturing opportunities, investment opportunities. The list is definitely not exhaustible. To create wealth, you must make investment that will create dependable streams of income flows, independent of your main source of income. The time to act is now. Begin implementing this practice, and before you know it, within months, you can be enjoying the benefits and the financial security and freedom that comes from having multiple streams of income.
This is the network service of the NTA.
The child's palate, taste, and other organs start to develop as they grow, moving from breast milk to solid food in order to get the essential nutrients they need for growth. But with time, the child's relationship with food starts to change. Some will develop a healthy relationship with food as they move into adulthood, while others will not, leading to what we described as eating disorders. Welcome to Better You Today on the network service of the NTA. My name is Yetunde Jayola. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. On this episode, we will be talking about eating disorders, types, causes, and what we can do to stay on the right track. Let's see this package on dangerous eating disorder by Semben.
Food is one thing that makes us happy. It is one of the major factors for staying alive and healthy. But when not balanced, eating in excess or in inadequate quantity consistently, it becomes a dangerous eating disorder.
Dangerous eating habits or eating disorder
it's an abnormal eating habit that is characterized by a lot of things. It could be illnesses, it could be behavioral factors, it could be emotional factors. But one thing is certain, it has a little way of affecting or more affecting the individual's well-being. That is what it's referred to as eating disorders.
Many of these eating disorders mostly come as a result of trying to lose weight, eat pure or right, or trying to correct something that we feel we have done wrong as it pertains our eating habits.
Anorexia nervosa has to do with being afraid of gaining weight. A lot of people who are afraid of, gaining so much weight, and at the expense of that, they want to lose weight, and in the course of losing weight, they limit themselves. They say they want to do the limitation of calories, and when they do that, they end up using the wrong methods to achieve that. Now, they do not know what these calories themselves they are limiting are. Now, if everybody's just seeing calories as it's all about the carbohydrate factor, why calories is not just about carbohydrate, it's majorly about, it's a unit of the energy. Every food you consume contains energy. It's either you're not getting energy from your foods, or the foods are helping the body to fight against diseases. For the bulimians or the bulimics, what they do is they have loss of control over what they eat, in the sense that as they are so concerned about restricting their diet. A lot of them are on their own, they just give themselves specialized diets. They want to do, some of them want to do keto, some of them want to do low fat, some of them want to do fruit diet. They just go on restricting, and at the end of the day, they end up skipping their breakfast, skipping their meals. They skip a particular meal in a day. They may end up skipping that, and it doubles itself. And at that point where the body is not taking what it requires for a particular meal, the energy stores become limited and the expenditure become higher because the body is spending more than it should use. The body is requiring more of that food back. So those bulimics, what they now do is, when they try to restrict themselves from some certain particular food or restrict themselves from eating in a day, they double up, and that is very harmful to their health. Why they now engage in what they call binging, which is down to the third one, which is common. Binging is eating, so much due to, it can be caused by a lot of emotions. It's majorly emotion controlled, like psychologically controlled by behavioral, something can come up. A lot of things, how we have seen ourselves in a society, there's so much stress. There's so much, everybody, we are all working on clothes and we don't know people who are happy, people who are not happy. The society we are just being overburdened with so many things on our heads. And in such a situation, you can end up either you're eating so much or you're taking in less of what you should eat. And at the end of the day, it causes more harm than good.
Another is diabulimia, an eating disorder that people with type 1 diabetes can develop. It is when someone reduces or skips their insulin dosage in order to lose weight. This is very dangerous. Symptoms include constant bouts of nausea and or vomiting, persistent thirst and frequent urination, frequent bladder and or yeast infection, amongst others. When one is diagnosed, what are the ways of treatment?
The most important thing is to understand if, as individuals, you have an eating disorder. A lot of people do not know they have eating disorder, even as I am as an individual. How much of yourself or your body do you know? If you are able to listen to yourself and listen to your body, where you take so much control of yourself, that is the first step, which is you're trying to correct that poor mental well-being. And once you've done that, once the brain is set in order, that's where the mind is. Every other thing takes place. Once you've done that, you check what is really causing this thing. Could it be psychological? Could it be emotional? You start correcting those things. Is it through dieting? Is it through, know the particular exercise that suits you, not you want to just do strenuous exercise, and at the end of the day, it is bringing you down back to what you're trying to avoid. Then if it's health conditions, most times it happens, then you know what to do. Some drugs can inhibit such. A lot of drugs have made a lot of people have a lot of changes in their eating habits and causing eating disorders for them.
Early diagnosis is always necessary with disorders like this. And if you've been diagnosed, stop the self-denial.
Visit either your dietitian or psychologist today. Get treated and start eating well.
Thanks for that beautiful package. An unhealthy attitude towards food and eating can have a great impact on developing eating disorders. Let's see this fun fact on eating disorders by Naomi.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
If you are just joining us, you're watching Better You Today on the network service of the NTA. So many things have led to bad eating habits. Let's help you with some tips on how you can have a great relationship with food and eating.
How to have a good relationship with food.
So most of the time, having a bad relationship with food starts with people who have eating disorders, people who don't eat because of various reasons, most commonly mental illness. Some are trying to avoid the so-called overweight body. They want to keep a healthy diet. They want to maintain a good body image. Some just have that avoidance personality to food because of the characteristics of food. Some people don't like some particular smells, some particular tastes, some particular colors of food. So first of all, having a good relationship with food starts with, first of all, addressing your eating disorder if you have one. In this case, I would like you to see a professional. We have psychologists, therapists, and nutritionists who are always eager to help and manage people who have eating disorders. Secondly, you would have to allow yourself to eat. Some people have a fear of eating due to one or more reasons. That's fear of overweight, fear of having people perceive them as having a bad body. So allow yourself to eat, allow yourself to eat the food you love, eat the food that gives you joy. Eat when you're hungry. Some people, when they're hungry for whatever reasons, it could be work, it could be occupation, whatever they're doing, don't eat when they're actually hungry. They decide to wait until when they're more stable, when there's a time when they can be more accessible to food. But that's just allowing yourself to develop an eating disorder. So please do try to eat when you're hungry. Don't delay, don't fast unnecessarily. If you're fasting for religious reasons or cultural reasons, that's fine, but outside of that, eat food when possible. Don't label food as being good or bad. Some people have foods that they say are bad for you because they lead to you having excessive weight gain, or they lead to you having excessive weight loss, or they're just bad for the health. But foods that you like are foods that you like. So do try to eat foods that are good for you, foods that you, in general, any food at all that gives you joy. For those who are suffering from eating disorders, they also may benefit from keeping a food journal. A food journal labels the kind of food you eat, the amount you eat. So it allows you to keep track of the amount you're eating, if you're having proper caloric intake or for your caloric needs, or if you're having proper nutritional supplements. Dieting is also not encouraged. It's something you can do if it has been recommended by a professional, but don't go out of your way to diet on your own or try to be on a diet that you don't have control over, because it's one of the things that could also lead to having an eating disorder. Try to get exercise. Exercise accounts for a better amount of weight loss than dieting. Some people benefit from both, but I always like to suggest having a good exercise plan first before diet. It doesn't have to be something heavy, just slight aerobics. It could be yoga, it could be Pilates, something you stay in the corners of your room and you do. Of course, the more intense the exercise, the better, but you do it according to how your body allows you to. Lastly, I would also like to talk about getting food that is appealing to you. So if you're one of those who don't eat food, or because you're picky, you don't like certain tastes, you don't like certain colors, you don't like certain smells, you can always find food that's more appealing to you in different colors, different textures, different smells. Don't avoid food because you don't like a particular smell or taste or color, but if you have to, find a way to make it more appealing to you. Thereby, by doing so, you help prevent eating disorders and maintain a healthy personal lifestyle.
Trust you've picked one or two things from those tips. We have something to trigger your taste bud. Here is what we have for you on Meal of the Day.
Today we're going to be making chicken curry style noodles. I chose chicken curry because it's something that has to do with lots of vegetables, and children with vegetables and vegetables. So, for us to get this menu on the way, first of all, let's wash our hands. Running water in our house. all our fingers. That's it. We're going to put on our burner, and we have our fry pan on it. Wait for it to heat up a little bit. So before that, I will introduce some ingredients we have on the table here. We have some red pepper, green and yellow pepper, tomatoes, lots of different seasoning. We have some cabbage, some beans, spring onions, and then chicken. A little flour. So we're adding our oil. Our chicken, which is the main ingredient in this meal. We've seasoned this, parboiled it, and shred the bone. But removing the bones, we don't need the bones inside. We're gonna add, this is our onions, where we have onions, spring onions, to give it that flavor and taste. So we stir. Now, making this chicken curry, we want everything to be crunchy and not overcooked, so that you can have the feeling of the vegetables and the nutrients in the vegetables all being absorbed into your mouth. So we're making our chicken curry. We're making sure that every of our ingredients, that's the green vegetables in it, the green peas, everything has to still be hard a little bit, not too soft, so that we can feel the nutrients in all these vegetables. So we're going to just add everything into it. It's one thing, chicken curry is actually the fastest meal you can have ready for your children, especially snacky time and dinner.
Wow, that looks so captivating. I'm not a fan of noodles, but I'm definitely going to give it a try. Some unhealthy lifestyles we are used to can actually be replaced with healthy ones. Overcoming eating disorders is not just about giving up on healthy food habits. It is also about self-love, learning new ways to cope with emotional pains, and rediscovering who we are beyond our eating habits and shape. That's all we have for you today on the program. See you again, same time, same station next week. And always remember, health is wealth. Bye for now.
There's the start and get. Promises to Shara. It's up that right hand. Archbishop of basketball, goal! He hung on that net like a stalk up a tree.
NTA Sports 24 brings you all sports, all time and all day. Tune in to watch NTA Sports 24 on Star Times Channel 270, StarSat on Channel 434 and Free TV on Channel 731. NTA Sports 24. where sports thrive.
On NCC Telecom Weekly, we bring you innovations, trends, policies, and stakeholders redefining all sectors of our economy today. Here, you'll see the actors, policymakers, and creativity that will shape your mind and business for growth in line with today's reality. Join us every Friday, 5 p.m. on NTN Network and on radio, FRCN Network on Fridays, 8 p.m. NCC Telecom Weekly, connecting Nigeria.
Lives are in your hands while you drive. Protect yourself and others on the road. Road Matters, shown on the network service of the NTA. Join us.
Naira and Kobo. The Nigerian currency comes in notes and coins to complement each other, to promote payment convenience and discourage rounding up prices. According to a 2022 Independent online article, coins are usually issued across world economies to ensure a balance in the currency structure and units of accounts and ease transactions. However, while preparing budgets for daily expenses and other financial transactions, figures are often rounded up to the nearest whole, discarding the details of lower denominations and kobos. After the point of payment, after a shopping transaction, many customers would opt for sweets, candies, or biscuits rather than accept lower denominations as change. While in other cases, dealings in coins are not available or acceptable.
Wait till this. Hold on first. Wait till it's my job money now. Wait till I will take out. No, madam, now. You can't reject it now. Madam, please.
I don't see it.
No.
Wait till I will take out.
Madam, you can't go back.
Why they use it now?
But they use it. Why they use it now?
This 10 naira. From where? When will carry? Who will collect this thing?
Madam, they use that.
No.
Madam, it's not fair. Madam, the money I get. So if I call police now, you will arrest me.
Arrest me how?
So you
my market again?
Yes, now.
Many Nigerians view the handling of coins as demeaning and meant to be given as alms rather than kept for personal use. These attitudes lead to increased preference for higher denominations and crowding out of lower denominations of notes and coins. Some people are said to go to extremes like visiting a goldsmith, where these legal tenders are turned into jewelry pieces. In 2007, the Central Bank of Nigeria redesigned the coin series 50 kobo, 1 naira, and introduced 2 naira coins along with lower denominations of the banknotes, that is the 5 naira, the 10 naira, 20 naira, and 50 naira. It included reducing the weight and size of the previous coin types and addressing the problem of rounding up prices. The existence of these structural imbalances justifies higher denomination notes, which as of 2020, CBN hinted that a sum of 58.6 billion naira was used to print 2.52 billion naira notes. The speed of circulation of these notes was very high and consequently gets dirty or faded quickly, which resulted in a high replacement rate, unlike the coins that can stay in circulation for as long as 30 or 50 years. Moreover, coins can easily withstand abuses like poor handling, folding, tearing, writing, stapling, and even spraying at social occasions, which the naira notes are subject to. Now, Will the availability of coins not facilitate transactions and reduce the tendency to approximate prices of goods and services to the nearest currency notes? Will the unavailability of coins not betray the level of accountability? Is the absence of coins not a factor in the rising inflation in Nigeria?
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
This is the network service of the NTA.
The apostles of government by the majority saw the need for legitimacy in governance as representing the will of the people through popular choice. This shows how critical the role of citizens is to the development of societies and the entrenchment of good governance. As the general elections draw closer, we look at how involved citizens are in the electoral process and how this could engender a quality process that serves the common interest of the electorate. I'm Omotola Mojola. Thanks for joining us. The general elections are almost here, and citizens' participation has been noted as crucial in upholding electoral integrity. In our first piece, Ruth Aguele questions the place of citizens in a liberal democracy and how it sustains democratic practice.
A citizen is a participatory member of a political community. Citizenship is gained by meeting the legal requirements of a national, state, or local government. A nation grants certain rights and privileges to its citizens. One of such is the right to vote during elections. Elections are the basis for democratic legitimacy, giving citizens a way to hold their leaders accountable by voting contestants into or out of office. For Nigeria and other advanced democracies, political players and watchers believe that a credible election is one that is characterized by inclusiveness, transparency, accountability, and competitiveness. So what is expected of citizens in upholding the tenets of electoral integrity?
Now, when you talk about the citizen and the electoral integrity, the first question that will come to mind is, have the citizens actually been made to know the laws guiding integrity in the election? If the election must have integrity, for instance, overvoting wouldn't be there, underage voting wouldn't be there, vote buying and selling wouldn't be there, violence during elections wouldn't be there. All these are provided in the Electoral Act 2022. But again, for the citizen to really participate or contribute in upholding electoral integrity, he has to know those provisions that are made.
Your own is to do the voting, and your voting should count. On that ground, on integrity, that's left to the electoral body to do. I know that they are capable and they are able to handle that.
I should be there, cast my vote, okay? Stay around like every other person to see what happens to the vote we cast.
Public confidence in each step of an election process is critical to the integrity of the election. In order for citizens to participate, understand, evaluate, and ultimately accept an election process and its outcome as representing their will, election data must be open to citizens, and any impediments to electoral integrity, experts say, is of concern.
There is need for proper education of citizens on punishments that are made in the Electoral Act 2022 that will affect those who carry out actions that will hinder the integrity of the elections.
This particular government has given everybody opportunity to, if you want to contest, go and contest. If you are qualified, then if you are voting, go and get your PVC as a citizen of Nigeria. You have right to vote. So all this right have been given by the government means that the government is in progress, is trying.
Over the last 3 decades, a movement of non-partisan citizen election monitoring has collectively mobilized numerous citizens within and around the world to participate in the nation's democratic processes as election observers to ensure electoral integrity. Many believe that the election process, which was hitherto hampered by long years of military intervention, is however getting better in the face of seemingly citizens' confidence. Improvements made by successive administrations over the years are worthy of note. Ruth Aguele for Dateline 360.
Ethical ideals have determined political leanings in countries of the world, and these social principles, also known as ideology, have been proven over time as effective for citizens' participation in the political affairs of countries, oftentimes aggregated by political parties. In Nigeria, do political parties have clear-cut ideologies? How much of grassroots participation and membership are encouraged by political parties, and how relevant are the opinions and positions of individuals and small groups in political parties' activities in Nigeria? Charles Alpha 6 answers to these begging questions.
Political ideologies have provided guide for political participation in many developed and developing countries. Not only have they been proven to be sacrosanct for operations of political parties, they are also the basis for political recruitment. Besides fostering the emergence of leaders, these ideologies adopted by political parties have also reflected the realities.
And so going forward, there is lack of citizenship, political, civic education. That is a process of orienting and reorienting the younger Nigerians to see things from the broader perspective.
For meeting the needs of the people. Taking the United States, for example, while the Republican Party's ideology anchors on reduced tax as a means of stimulating the economy and advancing individual economic freedom and government-funded social programs, the Democrats favor a mixed economy and support a progressive tax system, higher minimum wages, social security, universal health care, public education, and subsidized housing. This political leaning, unwavered over the years, experts say have helped raise the political consciousness of citizens in the country, and many identifying with their party.
The existing political socialization and political culture and ideology of political parties that exist in the United States and the United Kingdom are the basis upon which citizens build consciousness towards the political system, towards the electoral system.
While it is necessary to prove the truth of the opinion in some quarters that political parties' ideologies in Nigeria are not clear-cut and hardly reflect the priorities of the generality of Nigerians, it is also essential to inquire about the recruitment mechanism, particularly at the grassroots, and how important this is to democratic development.
And so ideology plays a very critical role in citizens' recruitment all over the world. It should. Of course it does, whether negative or positive. And we see the same playing out here as well.
Opinions and activism of individuals and groups such as religious and civil society organizations have been noted as having massive impact on participation in the electoral process, extending to choice in some cases. But how effective are these for party recruitment and electoral integrity?
Sovereignty belongs to the people. Power belongs to the people. Politicians are canvassing now, trying to convince the people to vote them in, which means the democracy, as we know, is government of the people, for the people, by the people. It's about the people, and the people. Notwithstanding what the judges, what may come out of the courts, the point is that we must ensure that the voice of the average Nigerian citizen counts.
Investigations show that in Nigeria, whether political parties have clear-cut ideologies or not, there are those who strongly believe they remain the viable platform for increased participation. Charles Alpha, for Deadline 360.
Now, for any democracy to be termed liberal and representative, the activities of civil societies and pressure groups are evident for raising the consciousness of citizens about varying issues and providing platforms for them to air their concerns. In this report, Ifeoma Ojenta examines the role of civil society organizations and pressure groups in strengthening democracy and democratic principles in Nigeria.
According to research, civil society organizations were the vanguard for the liberation struggle that culminated into Nigeria's independence in 1960. Civil society organizations and pressure groups